Hi, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever your time zone may be. Welcome to day two of the Agile Leadership Track at Spring One. I'm Rick Clark, and I'll be your MC for the first half of the day. We have some interesting talks for you today and some great speakers. First off, we have Cahal O'Neill from BT to speak to us about how their consumer digital commerce transformation is driving new revenue opportunities.
Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to hear me speak all the way from County Tyrone in Northern Ireland. A bit about me. I'm Cahal O'Neill, and I lead technology teams in BT, currently focused on our digital platform for consumer-facing journeys. To set the scene, for those who don't know much about it, BT is a company based in the UK. We're one of the world's leading communication service companies, and we're in the midst of a transformation, both with our technology and, most importantly, with our organisation. Transformation isn't new to us. As a company with a strong heritage, we've had a long history of adapting to change, transforming how we work and how we serve our customers. So why transform? Digital transformation isn't easy, and it isn't cheap. So why bother? This is a common question which many of you probably face. The reasons for you will be different. We all operate in different industries, but I think the reasons are all too similar. Today, I'm going to take you through a journey focused on the consumer division of our business, where we serve over 30 million customers, and give you a first-hand perspective of the challenges we faced, but most importantly, the opportunity we unleashed. For the millions of customers we serve, we process a lot of the sales journeys through an application that we creatively call eCom. This application is over 16 years old, has millions of lines of code, and as you can see in this diagram, is a highly tangled application with dependencies intertwined across the code base. What this means for change is that there's a bottleneck when trying to maintain and evolve the application, and this results in higher costs when implementing a new feature, as our engineers have to make changes in many places, therefore more testing to do, and usually more bugs to fix. As we add new features on top of this tangled code base, we're adding a huge amount of new code, around 32,000 lines each month. Adding code to a tangled application can mean that quality is harder to keep up and maintain in the longer term. And although this can be balanced with strong code reviews and testing, it's not easily sustainable. Being a monolith isn't necessarily a bad thing. This application caters for multiple channels, our online customers, our agents in our contact centres, and assistants in our retail stores. It processes tens of thousands of orders a day, orders such as a customer adding data to the mobile plan, or on the other end of complexity, a customer ordering broadband, landline, TV, and mobile all in one. The system is designed to allow fully automated orders to pass through the wider ecosystem, all while dealing with the thousands of possible permutations that we as BT cater for. You can now tell why it's lasted this long. But as the application has been built to support all of this with a one user interface, the challenge we now face is because of this one-size-fits-all journey, building to the common denominator in terms of what the journey feels like to our users, means that the digital experience isn't as flexible as we or our customers need it to be, especially now when we have customers flocking to order products in a digital way. So why do we want to change it? Simply put, along with some of the specifics I just mentioned, we face some of the challenges most of you will be familiar with. With a team of over 100 active developers on the application, supported by hundreds of others around the organisation who help with requirements, test, release management, to name a few, the rate of change on the fragile application is pretty slow and makes it harder to change quickly when we need to. Some of the harder challenges to see come with legacy technology. The pool of engineers who have experience with this legacy technology gets smaller and smaller as each year goes by. And when we have people who can work on it, they don't always want to. We recruit the best people, and it's understandable that they want to use the newest tech to solve the latest problem, So I get it when they aren't excited to work with the old. For the teams working on it, they're in a very large team. This has resulted in people who have pockets of knowledge and expertise on certain parts of the monolith. So if you haven't worked on a certain area of the code, because there's so much of it, it'll be hard to understand. It's then harder to maintain, leaving it fragile and hard to identify the root cause when something does go wrong. But the biggest driver to change has been our user experience. As the UX is coupled with application, and as I said, it's been built in most parts to fit the common denominator in terms of the journey. And with multiple channels and many products to serve, you can see how this could turn into a bloated experience when our customers expect something a lot slicker. So we took on the challenge of figuring out how to transform the application, the teams that work on it, and the processes alongside it, all while ensuring we continue to serve our customers. Using what we termed a lighthouse project, something to shine a light onto what's ahead of us, we decided to focus on the BT Sport monthly pass acquisition journey as our first sales experience to transform. It's one of our simpler journeys, the idea being that we could focus on some of the technology, people, and process changes first, and then keeping us away from being less tangled in the complexity of all the product domains. Here, a customer chooses a BT Sports Pass, they create an account, they make a payment, and hey presto, they get access to great sports content. If only it could be that simple. So from a technology point of view, BT's e-commerce application was outdated. Maintaining state would inevitably mean staying behind their competitors. The industry has started shifting towards a loosely coupled architecture, supported by domain-driven design principles. And as many of you will be aware of, in the e-commerce journey, permutations have a clear separation of concerns. Payment, address, shopping cart, and so on. They're a perfect match for a microservice architecture. Keen to learn from what's been happening in other parts of BT, and across the industry, the squad had the ability to test and trial different technologies as part of this change. Choices that weren't dictated to them by others, or because they've been held to a historic choice. The empowerment of the team to make their own choices here was key. Find out what suited their needs and use it. As a result, the front end and back end have been separated with the ability to deploy them independently. A React application for the journey, calling independent APIs. Monolithic logic has been replaced with loosely coupled services built with the Spring Boot framework, aligning to TM Forum Open API specifications. They follow the AMQP protocol for exchange messages and follow the majority of the industry accepted microservice patterns, including database per service with MongoDB. Fortunately, the technology aspects of the transformation were easily adopted by the team. Many of the engineers had experience using these technologies and didn't need to think twice about using them. But even with that in mind, it didn't come without some challenges. So one of the challenges we faced was when moving from an on-premise infrastructure to the cloud. There's been a lot of work generally in BT deploying to the cloud. Within our consumer IT space, it was a relatively new experience. As you'd expect, our monolithic application wasn't exactly cloud native. As part of the building out a microservice-based architecture, the team from the outset aimed to deploy our code onto the cloud and design services to be cloud native. As we started to build them out and tried to work out how to provision new environments to test our services, the challenges started to appear. As the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. The data we previously accessed through existing connectivity that was provided through our on-premise infrastructure didn't exist in this new world. To be able to get it meant engaging at different levels. At a high level, to review patterns that were suitable to use, but also at a lower level with each of the teams that managed applications that we wanted connectivity with. We were used to managing dependencies, but it soon became clear that what we needed to do wasn't straightforward. System requests needed to be raised to open up the required networking, each with their own lead times, and reviews were needed to ensure checks and balances with security were in place, and so on and so on. For the squad, this meant spikes were needed in the sprints, and new features were needed on the backlog, taking time away from the new journey to focus on new infrastructure. All of this meant that the timelines extended past the original plan. As it turned out, we're not just changing how we built the new application, but how we host it too. While it may have been an unexpected overhead to begin with, this proved a valuable learning opportunity to understand what will be needed in the longer term as we transform. The squad gained a huge depth of knowledge in what was needed technically, and helped leadership get a broader awareness of the effort it would take foundationally to drive change forward longer term. Collectively, this has helped us to have a better understanding of the timelines we need to consider and give a new dimension to the technology transformation that lay ahead. On to our people. Our people are the core of what we do. It's a key to unlocking the rest. If we support our people and help them organise in the right way and ensure our teams have the right skills and attitude, we set ourselves up for tackling the next part of the puzzle. We knew we needed a smaller, empowered, cross-skilled team so that they'd have the ability to deliver their vision of what this journey should look like, but also with the right domain knowledge to understand the service interfaces needed. Bringing the business closer to the technology and vice versa meant that everybody would be able to understand the vision from the outset and be able to have conversations and design sessions to translate what our customers want into something that could be delivered on. We set out to form a squad that had all the roles you'd normally associate with an agile team: product owner, scrum master, UX, engineers, QA. Kicking off strong, the team used human-centered design processes to really help empathise with our customers, using different personas to try and get a representative view of our huge target audience, and then design the journey around that, unconstrained by the usual things that slowed them down before. Supported by tooling such as Jira, confidence and the ability to work into 2-week sprints, set the team up. The squad had the perfect starting point. But as the team progressed and a few sprints went by, they found that the idea of being self-reliant wasn't as easy as it sounds. Let's take one example of this. The team wanted to send the logs from the new services to centralized AppStack, making it easier to correlate issues with all the applications were appropriate. Beforehand, the log management was managed by a smaller group of engineers in the ecom dev team. After all, there was only one set of logs to ship. When the new squad wanted to do it and ship many logs from many new, smaller applications, they found themselves wondering how this would be done. In the squad, they didn't have the experience working on the stack, but still wanted to manage their own dependencies. They had a few questions. What's the process of raising a request? Who would deal with the finance processes to fund this? Do they need to repeat this for each new service? Some of these questions might sound straightforward to the people who've done it before, but for the people who hadn't been involved in the past, and activities that weren't core to the previous role, but are now critical to the current role, the answer wasn't as obvious. Many years of building up ways of working around larger teams, developing on a big monolith, has meant that the traditional team interactions are now done in a certain way. But this didn't necessarily align to the way the Agile team wanted to or needed to work. The way forward in this wasn't hard. They just had to learn new skills and ways of doing things. With support from all the teams, from their peers, and those in the wider community, they could figure it out. Being in a squad doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself or work in isolation. In an enterprise with many other teams, the key is understanding the gaps the squad need. Understanding the skills the squad need and where there's gaps, knowing when to collaborate to plug that gap. Another example of how we organise is focused on decision making. Prior to taking the first journey live, we started to ask some questions. Who makes the decision to release the code to live? Who's responsible for managing an incident when there's something that impacts our customers? Who makes the decision on the need for having someone new join the team? These questions focus around decision making and how the dynamics work in a different team structure than before. The lines of responsibility aren't as clear as they once were. What we had to do was bring the authority for these decisions to be made where the information was in the team. The squad understands the quality of the code and if it should go live, the best course of action to rectify any issue that's ongoing, what skills they need in their team. They're the right people to make the call and were empowered to do so. But they didn't feel like they had the experience to do it initially. They were supported by a team of experienced people who help with toolkits, information, contacts, to enable them to find a way to do it. We wanted the squad to be accountable for what they built and have a sense of ownership for it. And only by given control were they able to be empowered. The next level of change was around our processes, be it deployment processes that cover everything we need to take a change to production, or with the processes that ensure we've got the right level of security covering our applications, or legal to give us confidence that everything we're showing our customers is correct. In BT, many of these teams are more used to engaging as part of larger programs of work than with squads that are driving quick iterative changes each sprint. Trying to find the balance between compliance and the ability to respond to customers' need has been a learning curve. Where the customer wanted to go fast, engagement was previously done at early stages in the waterfall process. For the squad, these processes were now slowing them down. I think that the problem didn't lie with the people in these teams, nor did it lie with the process in itself. It was the fact that we wanted to transform how we build new journeys, but hadn't brought others on board at the same time. This was as new to them as it is to us. As with bringing the business closer to technology, we needed to bring these other teams closer too. What we knew was that these processes needed to be adaptive to the agile software development methods we were using. And to do so would mean working to evolve the process with the teams involved, working to integrate it seamlessly in the way the squads needed it to. One example of this was how we integrate security scanning tools into the CA pipeline. While this didn't remove all the manual reviews that were needed, it brought us a step closer to having faster deployment cycles while keeping us secure. Ensuring the team, not just developers, had training in secure coding practices also meant that our risks were reduced at all stages, speeding up the team when it came to releasing code. I don't think there's only one silver bullet for how we make sure our processes are fit for purpose. In a company as large as BT, our squads will be different, working in different technologies and in different domains with varying cadences of change. I found that engaging with the people in these other teams at the earliest opportunities, empathizing with them in the challenges they face, transforming to support this new way of working, is a way to push forward and move further on in our transformation journey. As we kicked this off, we had a number of OKRs defined, giving direction to the outcome we wanted. These were a combination of improving the user experience, increasing conversion on the journey, and creating efficiencies in engineering. What we took live as our MVP was something really different than what was there before. With a one-size-fits-all journey, it had many unneeded steps for the customer to go through. With a loosely coupled architecture, the squad were able to reduce the amount of steps a customer needed to take it down from 11 steps to 6. This is what our customers expect in a digital world. Why have to click through pages that are irrelevant for the product you're buying? Why run a broadband eligibility check when you're only looking to buy a BT Sports Pass? These are the questions the squad asked themselves when designing the journey that were posed to them by the customers in the research. With the newer technology, low latency on the APIs, and less information to process, our customers' time on task was reduced by nearly 2/3. As we launched, we split the traffic between the old and new and watched as the new journey's conversion rate went up and up. As many of you will know, even slightly increasing conversion can result in a big increase in revenue. From an engineering perspective, we're able to make changes more rapidly across the codebases independently of each other without the fear of breaking something else. By using the latest technologies, we're able to use modern test frameworks too, which allowed the squad to build out automated test packs, key to being able to deliver change fast and reducing bugs taken to production. As the A/B testing continued, the squad found opportunities for small improvements on the journey, and without any effort, they could regression test their changes in minutes, something that wasn't just as easy before. Using what we call our 4 planes of control, a set of KPIs for software excellence derived from a number of tools integrated into our CI/CD pipelines, we've now been able to make a code change and take to production on demand, fully confident of the change. The feedback from the teams involved was overwhelmingly positive. While it was new and sometimes challenging, being empowered to make real change had a real impact. Never would they want to go back to the old model. So what's next? As I mentioned earlier, this was a lighthouse project, something to shine a light onto what's in front of us, uncover some of what may lie ahead doing this at scale, to start us on our journey. Through this journey, we've been able to grow a strong internal demand for change, bringing our people along with the vision of a transformed technology estate, a transformed customer experience, and a transformed BT. For our technology, with a loosely coupled architecture and the latest technology, we're opening up new opportunities, new ideas, new types of journeys, the art of the possible. This can apply not just to our sales journeys, or not just to our consumer division, but across BT. With the foundational learnings, we're on our way to radically simplify how we engineer. With our processes, there's still work ahead, scaling what we've done already to work not just for one squad, but for hundreds, to enable and influence change in other teams' processes that would otherwise slow us down in the long term. Figure out how we better balance governance with the need to quickly iterate. Our processes won't have an end state. They'll evolve and we'll have to adapt and continuously change, but we'll be better for it. Changing how we organise ourselves is going to be the foundation for all of this. Scaling how we work is going to be based on the team as a core unit, and have them operate in teams of teams will be key. Our people really want to work in a different way, so we need to enable them to do so. So that's all from me. If you have any questions on this journey, transformation, or anything else we do at BT, you'll find me next in the Q&A session. Thanks for listening, folks.
Thank you, Cahal. I love hearing about transformation journeys. One of the advantages of a virtual conference is that you get a chance to continue discussion in a way that would be impossible at an in-person conference. So I encourage you to head over to the Slack channel to continue an interactive discussion with Cahal.